In this video we are continuing to draw this realistic portrait, looking at how to go about drawing realistic facial hair as we draw out the moustache and also render the nose and mouth. So let's get into it. So here I have my outlines I had made in a previous video. Now I need to start by drawing in the mouth before I can progress towards that moustache. Just skip ahead to where I draw the moustache if you want to see me do only that, but for the people who are following this entire guide, I'll start here. I'll also put the reference image I am working from up on screen, and you can see what I'm looking at as I begin drawing this. Now, you'll notice that there's an obvious line there for the mouth between the lips, and that's something I start to define more clearly here on my drawing. This is important to get right as it creates the shape of the mouth. You'll also see that from this there are wrinkles on the lips that curve with the shape of the lips. These are details you want to try and recreate in your drawing. Here, as I do this, I start at one side and begin to work around adding these in. Also pay attention to the direction of each of these. You want to have the lines you make curving in the same way because that helps to give the lips some form. In between each of these wrinkles, I add some light shading, making sure that I don't cover the lines I had just made. Also, don't worry too much about highlights at this stage, as this is something we can add later if we need to. You'll also see that I shade in the section of the skin at the bottom of the lip before moving to the other side. Again, I continue to draw in those lines, making sure to apply a little more pressure with the pencil. Here I define the outline for that nose and also shade in some of that top lip, along with adding some smaller wrinkles on that as well. So now it's time to start drawing in that moustache. Here I'm continuing to use a 2B Faber-Castell pencil to do this, and right off the bat, the most important thing to do here when you are going to draw facial hair is to keep your pencil sharp. You'll be drawing out very fine lines here, so I'd recommend sharpening your pencil often. To do this, I'm going to start right below the front of the nose here, and again, I'll keep that reference image up on screen. I make an effort to draw out each individual hair. Now, I know that sounds rather daunting, but obviously I don't draw every single hair perfectly. Instead, I only make the effort to do so, and in doing that, I usually get a result that's good enough. So you'll see what I mean as I move to the side here. Notice how the hairs around here are rather sparse in comparison to the other section where they are more in clusters. Because of this, these hairs are more specific, and so I do my best to draw them in the same position. As I move down, these hairs are closer together, which surprisingly makes this easier, seeing as you don't have to be so accurate when you draw them. That being said, I still try to pick out the hairs which seem to stand out more and draw them in first before adding more arbitrary lines around them. So these are lines drawn at different lengths. Soon you'll start to see me draw in pairs of lines together, which is essentially my attempt to outline hairs, which I know sounds silly, but that's something which helps to create a more appealing texture. At least I think it does. You can see this more clearly as I move towards the top lip here. So I guess it's a mix of both really. Sometimes I'll draw these hairs out as one single line, and then in some places I'll outline each hair by creating two lines. As I work towards the side here, I also need to keep in mind the shape of this moustache, but this is easily done by simply drawing these hairs in the right place, the same place as in the reference image. So I'm making some good progress here drawing this moustache. For those who are wondering, this is how I approach drawing all types of facial hair. I think I have an old video on the channel where I create other examples. Anyways, here as I draw this out, I'm always looking at that reference image I'm working from. I always look for hairs which stand out more amongst the rest, and I take more care when I draw those in. I had explained this in the previous part when drawing the eyes, about how there are the primary details and then the secondary details. Now that I've drawn out half of this moustache, I decide to move over to a new grid line, and this is something that I recommend doing often, especially when it comes to drawing something like this, because it lets you reset in a way, allowing you to start in a new place and then draw in what you see from there. It also helps to keep things in proportion. The hairs that you see me outline here are ones that I notice when observing the reference image. I'll typically draw a few of these out and then work around them, adding some additional lines. This is a process that I continue to repeat. Here, I'll let a lot of this play out in a time lapse, and for those that are interested, I will be uploading a lot of real-time drawing footage over onto my Patreon page for you to learn from. Here, I'm kind of going back over what I've previously drawn and refining a lot of it. You'll see how I add some more lines in places or define various hairs more clearly. I also work into this applying more pressure with the pencil to create darker marks. Towards the end of the portrait, there is a stage where I go over the entire drawing, adding some darker shades, developing what I had drawn with this 2B pencil, so I may adjust this moustache as well as I progress, but for the most part, this is drawn out now, and I'm happy with how it looks. Now I'll finish up this last section at this side, and I also think I'm going to shade in some of the surrounding areas. In the next part, I will be going over how to produce a realistic skin texture, and so here I'll shade in the nose to get that out of the way as well. So that's how I go about drawing realistic facial hair. I hope you found this useful. If you did, then please leave a like on the video. As I say, in the next part, I'll be rendering most of the skin, looking at how to produce the right textures and whatnot. So look forward to that, and I will see you then. If you enjoyed the content I create, then do consider becoming a patron on Patreon. You will gain access to exclusive tutorials, study documents, process papers, real-time drawing footage and more. Plus, you will also be supporting me in a more personal way. Other than that, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you soon.